Good evening, everyone. Looks like a couple of folks are starting to join, so we'll take a few and let them get here once they start to get their notifications. Sorry, I'm a little bit delayed tonight just because a lot going on here this afternoon, but want to get started by saying we're going to cover topic of the night because things are starting to explode on Twitter here in the last 90 minutes about a possible trade. We'll talk about that. We'll get into the cornerbacks as they are right now too. So we're going to talk about Gunther some. We'll probably start with that in a minute. Hey guys, how are you? I see you coming in. Hey, Tony, Morbian, Dwight, Jeff. I think you meant that as a misspelling, Jeff. Kyle, how are you? Yeah. As we get started, I want to make sure off the top that I mentioned that we are again brought to you by Insurance Incorporated. They can do everything for you: car, home, life, travel, pets, like a little bit of everything. Sean might even be in here tonight, the owner out there, and they're a Shawnee company, and they got together and they work with another company that really helps them out in auto owners, and they offer you a lot. They're sponsoring the show, all this draft type stuff. So I appreciate you guys checking them out and support the people that support me. So just want to get started. I literally just, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes ago, finished recording and editing the Locked On Chiefs podcast. If you're new here and you don't follow the podcast, we do that 5 days a week. And so I just finished editing together. Chris and I had already recorded about a similar topic that we'll talk about tonight, and I needed to put something on to the beginning about Gunther. So make sure you check that out. Just a little personal note on that from me, but it comes down to Gunther kind of epitomizes back in the day when the Chiefs had a dominant defense, and he was the guy that guided that. So, it's sad to see him go, but he did a lot of good work and kind of really, other than the championship seasons very, very early on in the franchise's history, he was right there with Marty as the mastermind to the high point of this franchise's history. So he got a really tough situation, becoming the head coach. Derek's passing, I mean, just tough. Haven't seen cause of death. Evidently, it was an illness that came on rather quickly. That's what I read. I haven't seen any statements. I know Clark Hunt made a nice statement, but didn't have any answers. He was just offering condolences. We'll probably find out later. I know that he had started to slow down. He stepped away from the Lions, and he was working with PFF for a bit. I don't know how long that went on. I'll try to find that out for you guys, just for info. But he's a guy that I thought had a big influence on the way that this franchise has grown and changed in the last couple of years. So cheers to Gunther. Tonight I'm drinking beer from Weldworks. It's their West Coast IPA because IPA should not be hazy. Solo. And, I don't know. Gunther was a unique guy, very intense and very to the point. Like, he's going to tell you what was true and what wasn't, at least how he saw it. And you've heard me quote him a couple of times because when it comes to his attitude, he was a stop the run first guy. I think part of why he stepped away is just general age and health from the league the last few years, but also because the league has changed so predominantly towards the pass. And Gunther still was a run guy. So I just want to say for all of you here, cheers to Gunther. But I see a lot of you guys coming in. We will start talking about the topics of the day. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate it and everything. Guys, if you're not following Sam over on PFF Chiefs, as well as his personal account, go out there and check that on Twitter because he'll give you a lot of good information. We talked, he threw something out about James Williams, and I know I've told you guys about him before. I didn't realize he was the best receiving running back in college for 3 seasons. But he's a guy I expect to make the team, and I expect to be a dynamic option out of the backfield in the passing game. So go check out Sam's account. Thanks, Sam. Jacqueline, nice to see you. Aaron, how are you? Ghost of Van. I don't know if I should just call you Van these days or should use your whole title, Ghost. But thanks for all that you guys do. It's nice to see y'all. Andy Anderson's in here. Ian's back. Jerry. Okay, so hold your questions just for a few, because this is what I know right now. A lot of rumors from Bryant, who started the whole thing, who was wrong last time, by the way, about Patrick Peterson getting traded. He put up a graphic that had him in a Chiefs uniform, and everybody got kind of all twitched up. And I get that. It makes sense. It's an exciting move. You've heard us talk about Peterson on the pod, and you've heard me talk about Peterson here as a guy that can make a huge difference. He is still that good. So if it were to come to pass, it's a great move, depending on what the value has to be. And I think that it's still probably negotiating if it's going on, because post-draft, the value is going to fall off a little bit, because now any draft picks, are not immediate. They're not immediate use. So I think that that's probably the sign that the cost is probably coming down, as stubborn as the Cardinals want to be. So I don't think it's probably for a first rounder. I could be wrong, but that's my general impression. But then a report came out very quickly after that from Terez Paylor, who you all know and love. And Terez is, despite being a national Yahoo guy now, is very tied into the organization, still lives in town, covers the team. If you listen to his podcast, you can hear it. He says no, that the Chiefs are not talking about that. So, I don't know what to take from it. It takes one person to leak something that's true, and another person could have no idea about it going on. So I won't say that it's over until it's over. But I'm not going to get too fired up on the word of AB89 because he's been wrong before. So, we'll find out. Hey, thanks, Robert. I appreciate it. And you get to ask a question. Don't forget that. I want to make sure I get yours. So let's spin it around a little bit. Here's the thing, and I'm going to tie Gunther into this for quite a bit, because when you think back, Gunther was the guy that used elite athleticism at corner to help provide the ability to get his pass rush home. Dale Carter was a guy that could cover a lot of ground. Yes, he had issues, but Dale could get it done. And the guy opposite him, when they got James Hasty, that really changed everything, in my opinion. Hasty's one of my all-time favorite Chiefs. Because he made that defense click. He was a nasty guy. He was a Gunther kind of guy with a big attitude. He'd lay the wood, and he wouldn't let you get away with anything. And I think that tandem is really what did it. And as we've seen over the last several seasons, there just wasn't a pair. Now you have Fuller and you have Breland, who are going to work good as the 2 and the 3, and you need 3 now. So otherwise, like the 90s, when you needed a good pair, right? You needed a duo of cornerbacks. Now you need a trio. And if Pat Peterson was to come over here, Pat Peterson would make that trio, and it would make them very, very solid. And it's going to be, if it does happen, it's going to be a thing that then takes away a lot of the worry about, can they get back to the championship game, because they will. I don't make guarantees because I don't run this team, but I will tell you, if they were to get Pat Peterson at one of the corner spots together with Matthew, there's 2 playmakers there, a lot of young guys that make plays, and a huge beefed up pass rush. And by the way, I saw Sam say something before. Do I have to believe that there's smoke where there's fire? Yeah, Sam, I do. But there's also some PFF put out a behind the scenes. Go watch that. It should be on my timeline. I retweeted it. A very interesting discussion about coverage versus pass rush and what works today. And I'll tell you, this whole thing, building up the Chiefs front 7 to get pass rush this whole offseason, and it's been a concerted effort all offseason. And now building the back through the draft, and possibly even something beyond it now, if these rumors turn out to be true. It's not one or the other. You got to have both. At least some level. And it's kind of like, if you can be more even, it's easier to have downs where the pass rush is the thing that gets it done, because they beat somebody and they get pressure early. Whereas other downs you'll have, if you have good coverage as well, you can have downs where they're stretching coverage out and making the quarterback hold the ball. So it's 2 parts of the same equation. They got to have both. And I think this move, if it does come to pass, is going to be something that really sets them up to be not as good a pass rush team, I don't think, but better in coverage and a much more even-keeled team rather than pass rush up here and coverage down here like it was last season. So evening out, being a more consistent, being a more fruitful defense on every position, not having the glaring weakness as much. That's going to have a problem. That's going to help. Oh, Sam's having buffering problems. It looks like my connection's good from my bandwidth, but I'll try to slow down. Let's see here. So that said, the corners that they have, I think Ward's great as a fourth. If you can get this trade done, then with Breeland and Fuller, they're set to be a very good group. If you can't get it done, I think Ward's going to get picked on. And that's really what's going to come down to. So there's a lot of questions coming in. You guys are doing great helping me find you with the question marks. Keep that up. And so we'll start going through them. So Travis, do the rumors have any meat to them with the trade? I just don't know. I don't have any connections in Arizona at all. And the people that I know in Kansas City are not ones that will run to me and tell me. So I'm just not that well connected inside the organization. So when you hear things from Matt Derrick and from Nate Taylor and from Trez Paylor, listen to them. They may not agree, but listen to them anyway. Let's see here. Gary, do you see any recent draft pick or UDFA stepping up? I see a couple of them. James Williams, we talked about earlier. Definitely a guy that I think, especially in the pass game, because Andy wants to do what Andy wants to do, he's going to be a big asset. Everybody's high on Thompson. I don't have anything against him. I don't see as much of an explosive type playmaker as I think Williams can be, but I think they probably both make this team together with Williams and Williams and Williams, and it's going to be a law firm or something like that. I think the interesting part is going to be what Carlos Hyde can do. And I think really Juan Thornhill is probably in the best position of the rookie class to make an immediate impact. I think the guy's got a feel, and he's at a position where he can be duped. It's a very cerebral position that you have to know what you're doing, but it's also one where you can make plays. So I feel like he's going to be in a good position. And then I think Colin Saunders will probably come along. And the question mark I have is Mecole Hardman, just because it's hard to learn Andy's offense. Maybe they're going to make it easier for him with packages or something. I don't know, but we'll see how that comes along. But that's my initial thoughts. Yes, Van, Hasty was nasty. Okay. Let's see here. Joseph, if you could choose between D-Rob, Conley, Wilson, and Dat, which stays on the roster as the number 2 this year? Whew. As the number 2? I think you would have to probably give it to Wilson. For as much as his over-the-shoulder catches were troublesome, he's still got that speed factor that you'd be looking to replace. I like Chris Conley a lot, but he does specific things very well, and the Chiefs offense doesn't really utilize him very well. Demarcus Robinson needs to step up. I don't have a ton of optimism about that he's going to be able to take a big step forward, but he might be able to make a small improvement. So let's hold on to that. And Dat is a gadget player. He needs opportunities. I think he could do that, but I'm not sure he'll be back. Let's see. Craig Wesley. Tony, good comment. Metal Rocker. I'm trying today. What would happen if the Chiefs were to get Rudolph to pair with Kelsey? I'm not big on Rudolph. I don't find him explosive. I don't think he's a guy that can exploit defenses as much as he used to. I think he's good in line, and I think he can do the underneath stuff fairly well. But I don't see it as a dynamic thing. He's not going to be a guy that you're going to split out into that 3 tight end formation, trips out for the tight ends, like we saw with even Demetrius Harris. I don't think that's a fit for him, but that's just my impression. If Reed thinks it can work, I'm sure that it will. I think right now is a really interesting time for Andy Reid himself as he hits a little over 60 years old, and he gets this rush of creativity again with players that can actually execute. So who knows? I wouldn't put past Andy Reid to come up with a thing for Kyle Rudolph too. I just think the wiser investment is in a corner. Ben Varnell. I do have hair. It's just pretty short. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, I wear a hat in my leisure time when I'm at work. I have to do other things. So yeah. Let's see here. How do you afford Peterson with Jones and Mahomes contract coming? Gary, that's going to be the interesting part. You can stagger it. You can restructure both of them. Jones, you can probably put off one more year in order to avoid some of that, but you can also do what they do early and do like a very loaded bonus early with a low salary, and you can kind of skip that forward a little bit. It does take some juggling, but they do have cap opening up next season for 2020, so I don't think it's a big deal. If you can get through 2018 with the 24 or whatever they have in cap space right now, I think they'll be fine. Let's see who's next. Reginald Foote. We just can't afford Peterson. I think they can. I think with the things coming down the line that they got themselves right on salary this year, and it looks very good for 2020 and beyond. It's the big question is going to be the Mahomes deal. I think Jones is going to sign a good one. I don't think it's going to be super breaking the bank, but it's going to be Mahomes, man. It's going to be. I don't even want to know what it's going to be. We'll find out when we find out. Who's next? Yeah, I'm sorry you guys are having buffering problems. It looks like my connection's solid, but mine's always iffy, so you never quite know. Oh, Van, thanks for the donation. I appreciate you hanging out and retweets and all that. All you guys that retweet all the time and put me on Chiefs Planet and all that stuff, thank you very much. I try to go to some of the forums like Chiefs Planet and like Arrowhead Guys. I suggest both of those for folks who don't go there. It's great discussion. I'm so busy with producing content and filming and editing and all that stuff. I just don't have time to hang out very often. This is honestly the best way for me to talk and hang out with guys that want to talk about this, and ladies too. I don't mean to be sexist in that comment. I love it. There's more and more ladies are joining the channel all the time, so it's great to see. Just keep spreading the word. See who likes it, and if it works, it works. Dan Thompson. I live up in the mountains, halfway between Denver and Breckenridge. So yeah, it's a good place to be. Except for all the Bronco fans. So, you just got to get used to it. But I like living in this state. I like the health aspect. I like being outside a lot. So yeah, it fits for me. And my wife's here, so she ain't leaving. Let's see. What do you think about K-Pass? Con Emerson, good question. I don't know what to think about K-Pass right now. He still has the athleticism that he had when he was drafted. He's still a physical freak. He doesn't have a whole lot of body fat, so he doesn't have wasted energy that he's devoting to that. I just don't know if he's either having a hard time being coached or if he's reached his coordination kind of limit. Because when you start talking about an athlete like that has the body type for it, it's about how you use it. It's about the technique that you use. It's about hand fighting and those kind of things. And some people hit their limits about what they can learn and what they can actually apply to their craft. And that may have happened. I don't know. I think this is going to be, it's so chock full of options here. I think somebody like Agba, who right now should probably be out as an end, might come inside quite a bit. They have that versatility. So it opens things up for him. I think if he can compete and he's got a fire on him, I think he's still got a shot. So let's see. Aaron Morrow, wasn't there a betting site you had a discount or something on? Need to get a bet in before we get someone. I don't bet. So we used to be sponsored the podcast by I can't remember who they are. But they dropped us as a sponsor, so I haven't even thought about that in quite a while. Sorry, I don't have any good options for you. Tony Penny, do you like Rhodes, Ramsey, or Pat? Pat Peterson's number one. I would probably go, man, I think Rhodes is better in a zone, and I'm not sure how much they're going to do that. But Jalen Ramsey comes with some headaches, so it's kind of a toss-up to me. Would you trade Hill for Peterson? No. There's still a chance out there that he could be exonerated. This situation with Tyreek Hill is so convoluted and so aggressive in that relationship between the two of them. I can't tell you what's real and what's not. There's still a possibility that he didn't do anything. I don't know. So yeah, I wouldn't be trying to move on from him yet. Let it take its course. And in the meantime, try to get Patrick Peterson anyway, and improve your defense. Don't make yourself weaker in one area to get stronger in another, because it's a net at that point. Let's see here. What rookies do we have to see a big role this season? It's going to be Thornhill and it's going to be Hardman. Even if Tyreek Hill is cleared and he does play, Mecole Hardman's going to get a lot of attention. That speed will keep him on the field. It's about how they use him and how fast he can pick up the playbook. It sounds like they threw it at him really early, though, so that might be a good indication anyway. Good question, Ian. Thanks. Doctor, does Pat Pete make this a consensus top 10 defense? I don't know that I can say that. I don't know. I'd say he puts him in the top half of the league. Top 10's pushing it. I can't remember who put it out, but somebody looked up how Spags has done in his transitions, and there has been generally a lag year in production for the new Spags defense. So I don't want to put too much on them. I think they should be able to be top 20. If they got Patrick Peterson, I think they'd be top half of the league, top 16. Beyond that, I'm not willing to venture until I see how, especially the inside interior defensive line is actually being deployed and what Spags has done to learn new tricks. He said he's been toying a lot in his time off, so I want to see it. Good question, though. Philip Baggins, do you think the Chiefs solidify their defense, their defensive line and linebacking crew to make a dent in the rankings? I think they're riding with their linebackers as they are. I don't think they're going after Jamie Collins. I think they like their guys, and I think they're hoping that it's the coaching change. And if you saw any of my breakdowns from last season, you saw a lot of hesitation out of the off-ball linebackers, Ragland and Hitchens in particular. I won't say that of Dorian O'Tang just because I think his reads were a little bit off because he was a rookie. But Hitch and Ragland, you could see him get to a hole and just kind of settle down and let the action come to them. And that's not how you play defense. You need to be more aggressive. This is the aggressor wins in this league. So I think they're betting that the linebackers are going to be better because of that. Ethan Hunt, I haven't heard anything specific about Fields the last few days. He did decent in the rookie camp, and there was some positive momentum, but nothing specific. Mark Allen, what is the most you would want to give for Peterson? They're going to have a compensatory pick next year, it looks like. Early formula says they'll probably get a fourth. I would give that one away along with a second and be okay with it. I wouldn't go into another second-day pick. What else? I think they could probably get it done for a second and maybe a fifth, maybe a sixth, something like that. So obviously better value. Get it for as cheap as you can. You're going to pay him, so you're going to have to. Okay, Sam Mansker. Do you think the Chiefs will keep Peterson talks on the down low to keep other teams out of contention? Possibly. I think it's been pretty quiet out at One Arrowhead Drive. So that may be exactly what they're trying to do. Jake Jones. Is Gary Jeter poised for a breakout season? Seems like a lot of chemistry between him and Pat. For sure, there's a lot of chemistry. Is he a slot guy or a true outside? I think he's an outside guy. I don't think he's got the acceleration in particular to play that two-way go kind of thing in the slot. But we've seen Andy use big slots too. Jason Avant was the same way. So I won't put it past using Dieter anywhere. And I think he does have a chemistry with Patrick. That's for sure. And I actually think that he runs decent routes. We saw him get open a few times last season when he did get into the game. So I'm optimistic about him. I think he's not going to break in the top 4, I don't think, but I think he should make this roster. That's my early take, but yeah. Dwight Raleigh, have you been seeing where Mahomes may not have as much success this year and with possibility of Hill gone, but the defense should be better? What's your take? Okay, my take is 50 touchdowns is impressive. It's historical. Doing that twice is tough, especially if you don't have your number one wide receiver. But I still think he's going to be top of the league. He doubled what I thought he was going to do in 2018, and that was going to put him in the top 10. I think he's easily a 30 touchdown quarterback without Tyreek Hill. Probably more like 40. Will he hit 50 again? It's tough. They were in a couple of horse races there where they had to score 50 points, remember? So I don't know if that's going to happen this season. If the defense is better, they shouldn't have to put up that much. So I'm thinking it's going to be closer to 40 than 50, but I do think it's going to be above 30. That's what I can tell you right now. Good question, Dwight. Let's see. Okay. Aaron, PP and Rhodes are too expensive. Do we try for Trey Waynes? Trey Waynes doesn't have anything to offer you. I don't see him as an upgrade over Ward. I may be holding his rookie first 2 years against him a little more than I should. He did improve last season, but I wouldn't do it. That's just me. How do you feel about the offense's red zone capabilities? I want to see them do more diverse things. I want to see them use their athletes. Under Andy, I don't think they've thrown many fades at all. That's the thing that Chris Conley was really good at, was the leaping ability. I want to see more of that. I want to see more, use your athletes to their aggression, not necessarily behind the line of scrimmage. Throw more slants to Sammy. I want to see them be a little more creative with Sherman and whoever the tight end too is, to get some unbalanced formations and run the ball with some power. Exert your will and run down the other guys, beat them up physically a little bit more. I would like to see the offense be a little more physical is what I'm saying. So there's my idea. Okay. Joseph Gruber, which UDFAs make the roster? I've only got one on the 53, Cody Thompson. Cody Thompson's going to be in a battle. Kemp and Gary Dieter are going to be pushing him out. If Hill's here, it's Hill, Watkins, Hardman, D-Rob, Kemp, Dieter. I like Cody Thompson. That's a tough order. It's going to be a battle. I think James Williams makes it. I said that earlier. I think Fields will probably make it. I think he's going to be in a battle with Fenton. Definitely with Reeser, but I think because of the youth and because of potential, I think he may have them both beat. So I think that's another one. And man, I'm really intrigued. If you guys missed the interview, I talked with the Chiefs' new tight end, Jody Fortson, yesterday. It was on Monday's podcast. And I think he might have a shot too. I don't know there's anything that says David Wells or even Bell are going to make it. I think it's a true battle for the 2 and 3 tight end set. And he's a guy that comes from a wide receiver background. So it fits into what Andy wants to do with his tight ends. Let's see. Good question though, Joseph. That was great. Eric Streeter, thoughts on John Lovett as a number 2 tight end? I think that's reaching. I think he could be a 3. I haven't seen him yet though. So what do I know? If he comes out and he learns the offense, I'd like to see him use him in a non-traditional role, like an H-back behind the line of scrimmage, do those shifts and some of that stuff with him. I'd love to see double tight end, him and Sherman in front of a running back, but just hurt everybody. I'm fine with that. Good question though, Eric. Stephen Kramer, are the Chiefs going to host or a draft or Super Bowl? They're working on it. I think that's part of the franchise's plan. Tony, am I the only one that thinks Mahomes can make anyone great? No, I don't think you are, bud. And I think he can do a very good job of that. Let's see here. Jacqueline, thank you for joining. One of the ladies is in the room, fellas. Be nice. Do you think the defense got better? Yes, I think at this point it's right about even. If the trade for Peterson comes through, they've definitely gotten better. I think the draft choices put them over the edge where they're slightly better. They're more balanced back to front, though, and I think that's the bigger key. Let's see. How many more years is Mahomes under contract? They can renegotiate after this season, so that means he's got one more plus the 5th-year option. So let's see. He's 2 years in. 19 will be 3. 20 would be 4, and then a 5th year. So Gary, do you think Tyreek is gone? I think it's 50-50. I don't know. Let's see. Does the RPO offense change the type of Ds or linebackers teams draft? Not necessarily. Because teams that want to run like the 4th man front, like the Chiefs are going to do now, They want faster linebackers. They can play side to side. The 3-4 teams are going to use their outside linebackers to stretch those edges and try to shut down a lot of that kind of stuff. And it gives you a few more guys behind you that can run. So I think, no, I think it makes you more aware of how athletic the guys that you are drafting are, but I don't think it makes you do anything in particular. Good questions. Both Jacqueline and Carl, thank you for that. Hog Farmer, good question. Got Gary's. Rock on. Morbian, what's your prediction for passing yards and touchdowns with Mahomes this season? Like I said, I think it's going to be around 40. I think he'll probably go 4,500 yards. I think it'll be a little bit less than last year because I don't think they'll have to throw quite as much. Good question. Metal Rocker, with all this happening with Tyreek, do you think the Chiefs might be able to sign him to a long-term contract for a cheaper price tag? Yeah. If he doesn't get charged, if he's let off the hook, if he's exonerated, I think they will look to probably sign him, and I think it will make him cheaper. How much so, I have no way to know. Christopher DeTore. I hope I said that right. I was close to Gunther, and I'm very sad. Well, I'm sorry for your loss. I met the guy like 3 times for a grand total of probably 25 or 30 minutes, but he was super cool. And he was like, man, he was a scary grandpa at that point. So I like the guy very much. Man, sorry to bring it back down, folks. Doctor, assume that we get Pat Pete and Hill is exonerated. Is this the best Chiefs team since? Yeah. It has the makings of it. You got to see it actually happen. They have to get the defense conglomerated. They got to be able to play Spags defense. And growing pains there might be a little bit of a headache. I don't know, but it could be. It has the potential to be one of the best Chiefs teams ever if you get Patrick Peterson. Yes. Let's see. Where will the DB rank? Jason, I answered that before. I think it's going to be around 15 if they can get another corner. If not, probably around 20. Let's see. Brandon Comer, hot take. Ward's going to be better than Breeland. I think you're wrong, pal. I'm just saying. I hope you're right, but I think you might be wrong. Let's see here. Are we looking to trade for... Mo Kennel. Yeah, that's the rumor. Nobody knows anything. Therese says no. Other sources say yes. So let's see here. Andy Anderson, do you know of any team cuts to come that would be upgrades for KC? I don't. I am starting to look at the other rosters, particularly who replaced somebody in the corner group. Most teams, really we're adding. I don't see direct replacements in the draft class much, but I'm gonna continue to dig. Okay, answered Mo's. Which drafted player, Michael Rodriguez, which drafted player has a chance to surprise the most this year? Surprise, I think, is Khaelen Saunders because he's an athlete, but he's making a huge jump from the level of competition. And I think teams kind of thought, as good as he is athletically, maybe that's going to be tough. Didn't bank on him. I think he has a chance to be very good. Physically, I know that. Whether he can do the things that he needs to do, we're going to find out. Let's see. Joel Bennett, Cam Chancellor ? Yeah, Cam's got injury issues. He's done. He is retired. That's not happening. And I think that's good for his health. I don't think he should play anymore. Carliners, I agree with you. Andy Anderson, how about Reggie Ragland's survive at middle linebacker with that slow speed of his? I think part of the slow speed that we saw last year was because of the knee injury. If you look at what he did, he made 2 interceptions down the stretch in the last 3 or 4 weeks, and he did them while dropping into short zones. That's what he can do. And I think he has the speed to do that. But he is better playing forward, playing downhill. I think what you're going to see is he's going to play the middle backer in the base defense. And then when they go to the nickel, it's going to be Hitch and Dorian O'Daniel. So I don't think that his play snaps are going to increase to the point that you have to worry about it. So, and if Spags does what I think I would do, which would be, play around with either sending 3 and a linebacker or sending 4, I think Reggie can be a very effective pass rusher from that off-ball linebacker spot, blitzing up the A gaps, even twist into the Bs. He rushed as an outside rusher sometimes at Alabama when he was in college, and I think he's got the feel for it. So I'm looking for him to be much more aggressive. Doctor, you're right. Gary Holland, how worried are you about the LB core this year? I'm a little concerned. I'm a little concerned too that they're not mentioning Dorian O'Daniel a whole lot. So I want to see what comes of that. But I think they have depth. And I think Gary Johnson is a long shot to make this. I should have mentioned him before. I can't remember who asked that question. I think Gary Johnson's a long shot to make this roster too. He's a small guy. He would be a nickel backer. He's not going to be a guy that you line up at Sam or middle or even Will really in a base defense and ask him to take on blocks. But he's aggressive. He can move. So I think he's got a future in the league. I think it might be here. Any possible cuts post-draft that we might be interested in? Oh, Curtis Douglas, same questions before. I don't know anything yet. I haven't gotten there. Mo Kennel, how's Kelvin Benjamin? Will he make the roster? No, he's a free agent. They didn't even bring him back. He's not going to be a Chief. Biased Chiefs fan, Josh Norman might be available. He might. That'd be interesting. You would have to play a lot of zone for Josh Norman to be effective. He does not play man very well. He is a true zone corner, and I don't know that that's the plan for Spags. If it is, it could possibly work, but I don't think that it is. Ethan Hunt, just gotcha. Hey, good timing on the question. Craig Murphy, thanks for your donation. I appreciate it. And cheers to you and to Gunther once again. Salute. Folks, if you want to donate to the channel or anything, you can use that super chat there at the bottom. Feel free, but if you do, make sure you ask a question, and I'll make sure I answer it for any of your donations. Let's see here. Do you think the offensive line is good enough? I think it is. I think it's proven that it's athletic. Excuse me. And what it gives up sometimes against power, it makes up for in the passing game. And that's the name of the game with Pat Mahomes at quarterback. So I think it is. I think they have a lot of options at guard, and they're going to let them just go at it in competing for that left guard spot in particular. Maybe a bit at center as well. Let's see here. Morbian, have you heard any rumors about Derek Johnson becoming a coach? I know he had an offer from Andy last year. He hasn't mentioned anything since he retired. But I know the door is open. I think Derek will be a great coach, and I think he will coach eventually. Let's see. Oh, good question. Ronak, how many yards and touchdowns for Mecole Hardman, D-Rob, and Sammy Watkins have this year? I think if Ty Hill's not there, I think it's all about Watkins' health. If he can stay healthy, he could push for 1,000 yards. But I think it's more likely to be 700 to 800 for each of them. The only question mark I'll be is, can D-Rob consistently put out that kind of production? Good question. Kurt Thacker, I think Johnson will be here next year as an intern. That would be great. Jacqueline Banks, do you think Hardman will be better than Hill? That's a stretch, I think. Hill is so unique in his ability to change direction, and that's what it is. Yes, he's super fast. Hardman is nearly as fast. The numbers I have from the pro day for Tyreek Hill were 4.29, and the Chiefs said that they got Hardman at 4.27 on their watches. And I've heard reports of both of them down in the 4.26, 4.25 range. That's super fast, both of them. But Tyreek Hill changes direction better. And that's, I think, how he makes people miss and how he weaves his way through defenses, because he can change direction that well. But I think Hardman has the potential to be very good. Good question, and thank you for answering it. And thanks for being on the channel. Ian, how many signings of the remaining free agents do you want the Chiefs to make? I don't know that there's a number of free agents out there. I'm not worried about free agents at this point. I think it's all in to trade for a not necessarily elite, although Patrick Peterson is, but you could get away with a very good corner like Jenkins or Ramsey or something like that. But like I said, Ramsey comes with a lot of headache. Let's see here. Trying to get to your questions, guys. Doctor, is Byron Pinkle been at camp, or is he still injured? I don't believe he's been brought off the list yet. So I'm sure he's rehabbing at the facility, but I don't think he's out there with the rookies or anything. We'll find out in OTAs. I think it's the 21st they start. Okay, good question. Donnie Couch, could John Lovett become a Taysom Hill sort of player? I think that's an interesting concept. I don't know, but I think it's it's out there as a possible direction for him to go. I like him at H too. I think he's pretty athletic. So a guy that can help Andy have another set of tricks in the tool bag. So I think that's a good thing. Josh Murdoch, should they let Colquitt go since they don't use a punter very much? That's true. Dustin's had kind of a pretty easy season last year, but Justin Colquitt's a leader, though. He is the veteran on this team. He is the longest tenured player. That's tough. That changes your room a lot. And I know Dave Tobe is very, very happy with his performance. So, I mean, if his leg's not falling off, I mean, yeah, he's expensive, but I don't think his contract is precluding them from getting something to help them somewhere else. Good question, though, Josh. I like that. Kai, is there any chance the Chiefs move on from Sammy Watkins? Not this season. If Hardman does well and they have Hill back, there could be next season. But right now, with all the question marks, Sammy's not going anywhere. Let's see here. Who leads the team in receiving TDs this season? I think it might be Kelsey. Let's do. Jay Wright, do you think that the biggest area we need to work on at defense or offense? I still think the defense needs work. I think it needs more talent, particularly at corner. But you could see some at linebacker too. But it needs a lot of work, a lot of practice. It's a whole new system. So that's definitely where I think it needs to go. Joseph, what are the most excited about OTAs next week? I'm excited for the first string O-line and the second and third string formations. I want to see Hardman. It's the biggest question mark, and I want to see Fields and Fenton battle it. I think Thornhill already showed it, even in rookie camp, that he's going to step in and make plays. I think what he has to guard against is being too easily manipulated by quarterbacks' eyes. So I want to see some progression there. But yeah, I think I'm excited about those things. Let's see here. Sam, really like the interview with Jody. Oh, thanks. Could you talk a bit more about the standout plays you mentioned hearing about? You know, he's strong at the point at the catch point, not just going up and getting it, but I mean, like, he makes a catch and there's defenders around him. In the film that I saw, which was limited, he's able to shake off defenders pretty easily. Now, that's at a lower level of competition. That's not NFL tackling, but it gives you an idea. He's got a very quick acceleration through 10 yards. I think he ran a 1.55, which is very good for a tight end. A little bit lacking in long speed, but that's enough to get loose at 10 yards. So I think he has a role that he can carve out for himself. I think he's, obviously, as a tryout player, he's a longer shot, but I think he's got a legitimate shot. I think this competition for the backup tight end is going to be one that takes a lot of punches to get done, because I think there's a lot of guys that can fight for it. Good question, though, Samuel. I appreciate that. Brother Rick, I talked about the UDFA corners a little bit earlier in the show. I think they both, Fields in particular, and I guess I shouldn't call him UDFA because Fenton was drafted. I think they both have to show something, but I think that position is fairly weak, especially at depth, and I think they both have a shot. Let's see. Bob Knight, I have no idea what you're talking about. Sorry, bud. Robert Cole, Saunders catching a TD from Mahomes in a Reed specialty play. I like that. I'd also like to see him catch something from Chris Jones, because Chris Jones is itching to throw the ball. And if Dontari Poe can do it, I don't see why you don't line up Saunders and Chris Jones in the backfield and run an option with them. I'd try it. Do you think that we want to more jump balls with tall wide receiver UDFA? No, I don't think that's what they want to do at all. I think the league in general might be leaning that way. That's why you saw so much hype about Hakeem Butler and Metcalf. But no, the league wants separation. Quarterbacks, Andy Reid wants separation. He wants to draw things up to get guys loose. I do not think it's throw the ball up. The only thing that I think they should do more of is throw the corner fades when they're in the red zone. I think they have some guys that can do that. Kemp is huge. Why not give him a shot at it? Let's see. Hey, Sam. Glad you made it. I talked you up earlier, so glad you're here. Carlos, is there anyone available that was as good as Derek Johnson? No, not even close. There's not even anybody on this team that's as good as Derek Johnson. There's definitely not a free agent available. So it would take a trade of one of the elite linebackers. There might be a very good linebacker that gets cut out of Cleveland, though, so we'll keep an eye on that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's a stretch or not, but it could be. Sam's question, do you think free agent is on the way like Jamie Collins or Michael Crabtree? I personally don't. I think it's going to be trying to pry away a high-end corner from somebody, whether this Peterson thing is real or they come back and talk about Ramsey, Rhodes, or even Jenkins. Gettleman's been talking up about how he's going to teach all of the corners to replace him. I'm not so sure that's going to go over that well. So I'm wondering if Jenkins isn't going to be available later. Excuse me. Let's see. Damn it, Matthew. Do you think that Spags has the ability to get the defense to or at least average? Yes. I think somewhere between 20 and 15 right now with the personnel is doable. I think if you get a top corner like one of the guys we've been talking about, I think they can get up above 16. I don't know about top 10, but above 16. McGuire Donegan. I love the Irish name. What's Sorensen's future here in KC? I think Spags is going to like to blitz him, but I think he's probably right now, he's probably pretty even with Lucas. But Watts, Thornhill, Matthew, they're all better athletes. So it just depends whether you can carve out a niche for something that Spags wants to do. Nighthawk, I don't have any new rumors about Peterson. It was just from earlier today. So just trying to keep up with that. Frank Lopez, with the depth at O-line, do you think they bring Jeff Allen? Do you think he's on the roster, so they don't need to bring him back? Do you think they might want to trade him? Possible. He's one of the guys that has probably less trade value just because of his age. But there are some guys here that have proven that they can play at least. So, yeah. Let's see. Philip Baggins. Have you heard Pringle was healed enough to make a dent in the wide receiving core? I think he's another option. I haven't heard that he's healed and he's back in full motion yet. So I'm kind of waiting for that before I even start going down that path. Travis. No one is really talking about Pringle. Yeah, you're right. Nomad Kai. Jody Fortson looked like he has pretty good movement for someone 6'6". Yes. Do you prefer to see him at tight end, or is he more accustomed to being? He's going to be a tight end. It doesn't matter what I think. He will be a tight end. The team has told him that. He told me that yesterday. So yeah, that's where he's going to play. But their tight ends line up wide sometimes. So I think that's something that it allows him to make better cuts, better routes than the average tight end rookie coming into the league. Let's see here. Local seed. Pay Tuesday for an answer today. I like that. You get an answer either way, bud. Do the Chiefs have enough cap room to get Andy a watch? Yeah, they do. Whether he'll look at it or not, that's not my call. Will Daddy Dirt return, Joel? He's on the roster now. Could he be a camp cut? Possibly, but he's on the roster. He doesn't need to return. He's already there. And they like him. Andy Reid likes him. So that does go a long way. Ian, the Chiefs have said that they were looking for Hardman regardless of the Hill situation. Yes, that's what I heard as well. If there was nothing on Hill at all during the draft, do you think they would have taken one of the corners left? I think it could have been, but I will say this too. When Brett Veach likes a guy and thinks he's the fit and he's the thing you got to go get, he's going to go get him. So it sounds like he was on their radar to begin with. I think the thing that sealed them not drafting a corner early was the Clark trade. And they felt that was a higher priority. And if that's true, okay. And the way it fell is the way it fell. All those corners went really early in the second. And I don't think you could have gotten up there for decent value. That was going to be tough. But I personally would have prioritized corner a little bit more. But if they felt like a trade was something they could get done, that would make a lot more sense. So we don't know any situation where they've done the negotiation already. And it is a feel thing. So we just have to kind of trust them. Okay. So I'm going to burn through. We're almost at 50 minutes. Sorry, guys. I get talking and that's the way it goes. Let's burn through some more. Do we win game one? I think so. I'm going to be positive. How's that? Let's see. Thoughts on Patrick Peterson? I covered that earlier, Nighthawk. Just go ahead and back it up. Covered it a lot, actually. Sam, you're right. Thornhill's going to play free safety the majority of the time. There might be some matchup things there. When they do have to play a high-end tight end, they might let him do it because he's got the size. And we've seen that the other safeties on this roster currently, outside of Matthew, cannot really handle the bigger, more robust tight ends. Thoughts? Oh, hey, Donnie, thank you. How would Kyle Rudolph be in this offense? I think he'd be lackluster. I talked about him earlier, too, if you missed it. But thanks for the donation, so you get your answer. I don't think that he's an elite athlete anymore. I don't know that he ever was. I think he can work in the short area very well and be a complement to Travis Kelce, and I think he can block well. But I don't think he's a guy that you want to put out in that trio set and run him, as basically a huge wide receiver. I don't think that's his game. I could be wrong. Maybe Andy thinks he can do that. I wouldn't, but that doesn't mean anything. I'm not an offensive guru like Andy. So it's a possibility, but I think it's a long shot. Let's see here. Aaron, thoughts? Thought Thorson sounded a lot like Chris Jones. Okay, cool. Do you think that Patrick Peterson with a trade and give away the one for him, Brad Sexton? No, I don't think it's going to be one. I think they really covet that, and they finally got themselves back where they had a one. And I think you heard Brett Veach be very specific about that, feeling like they've been playing from behind lately. And so it's just too much of a value, I think, for the future. So I think it's a second round and maybe something else. Joe, let's see. Do you know how much the salary the Chiefs are going to hook for? I want to say he's like 16, Sammy Watkins, this year against the cap. I'm not 100% though. I'd have to go pull it up. Go check out Spotrac or Over the Cap. They're both pretty good. Let's see. Justin Seymour, do you think Mecole and Tyreek Hill will look like on the field with all that speed? I think it'll look terrifying to defenses. That's what I think. But I also think that you're going to see them be able to do more twin concepts, like you see with I can't remember what that one is, where you get a streak from the slot and you get a deep in from the outside guy. You can run those in parallel now, and you have two shots at a home run. And I think that's something Patrick talked about last season, that like Favre, he thinks like there's a home run possibility on every play. And I think that with Hill and Hardman, it gives him two options, and I think that's exciting. Let's see here. Roland Roberts. If Saunders... Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Daniel Riddick, thanks for the donation, pal. I appreciate it. I will keep up the good work. Do you think they cut Reggie Ragland is your question? I don't think so. I think he might play a reduced role. We'll see how the season goes and how they want to use him. I think they can use him as a battering ram, get aggressive with him, and use his size and his athletic ability to run forward rather than trying to drop into zones. It is a weakness for him. He's not that great in coverage. But playing an aggressive style, I think he could do that really well. So, no, I don't think they'll cut Reggie Ragland. I could be wrong, but I really don't think so. Thanks for the donation, though. I really appreciate that. That was a big one. Now, that was great. Do we keep strong safety, keep Matthew at free safety? No. Matthew's going to play the robber strong safety type role. Juan's going to play free safety. He's a waste trying to play him in the slot. He can produce for you right now at the free safety spot, and they don't have anybody else that's free safety. So that's where he's going to be. Mark Edwards, that's funny. Metal Rocker, do you think that Kelce is as good as Tony Gonzalez? No, I don't. Sorry. Tony blocked better. Tony got open all the time, not just when he was allowed to use his athleticism. When they bottled him up, he fought through. He fought double teams. Tony's a better tight end. But I think Travis can catch him before his career is over. I will say that. Just right now today, Tony's still better. Let's see. Do you feel Darwin Thompson being a kick returner? Daniel, I don't know. I don't recall him doing that at Utah State a whole lot. I could be wrong. I didn't get that deep into it. I think they're looking for Hardman to do some of it, as well as Tremont Smith's going to be there. And I think he's going to be the guy that's going to be leaned on the most. But that's a good question. Let's see here. Hardman, 500 yards, 5 TDs, over under. Big test. That's a good question. If Hill is suspended more than 6 games, I'm going to take the over on that. Let's see here. Colin Perry, do we have enough CB diff to get through this year? No. not get destroyed. Right now, with Ward as your starter, if something happens to Fuller or Breeland or Ward, it's really, really thin. It's rookies and Keith Reeser. I don't think they have a lot that they saw from Tremont Smith at corner that they really liked. I think he's got a ways to go. So that seems very thin to me. So that's where I'm at, Colin. Let's see. Samir, how are you? Thanks for your donation again. Is improving at pre-snap the most important thing for Pat? It's a big chunk of it. Athletically, he can do what he wants. And honestly, he was a lot more restrained last year than I expected him to be. So that shows a little bit of maturity. Pre-snap is definitely it. He got rattled with pressure and he was able to be disguised some. But, that's going to be a leap forward that I think he can take. I'm pretty confident he's going to make a couple of good steps there. Good question. Let's see. Who else has a question? Not seeing it, guys. Okay. Okay. Big test. Saunders 4 sacks, 4 TFLs over under. Oh, way over that. I think he could be a 6, 7, 8 sack guy, depending on his snaps. I like Saunders' athletic ability, and used in the right situation, I think he can produce. Okay, a couple more, and we will call it quits. JJ Allison, can Hardman use his ability against defenders more because he played as a defender and knows how to line up against them? It does help him. He is good at stacking the corner so that he's in position where he needs to be as a wide receiver. He's had a few drops. I don't think he runs the terribly clean routes. He's okay. He's got a long way to go like that. Honestly, he's a lot like Tyreek. But his athletic ability and knowing what the defenders are trying to do is going to help him a lot. Let's see here. Roland Roberts. We're going to let you be the last one, bud. Oh, wait. No, there's 2 more. Sorry. Trying to cut everybody off. Roland, can Pat do no huddle that we haven't seen? Yeah, he can easily do that. That's not going to be a problem. It's going to be long bomb, long bong, long bong. Okay. That's what he's going to do. Adam Wong, how does Carlos Hyde fit into the up-tempo offense? Not very well. That's the problem. And he's got a long injury history. I think he might be the odd man out when it comes down to it. But that's just me. Roland Roberts. No, I asked you. Sorry, Ed. What's the development potential of the young corners? There is potential there. I just don't know how fast it will come. And I think Ward's got to get good real fast unless they get somebody. Pyruvate DNA, because that's what built the protein. Sam. Oh, that's not a question. Sorry. Okay. That is the end of the questions. We're at 57 minutes, so we're going to call that quits at that point, folks. Had a good group in here tonight. I know it's a little bit weird. We're going to keep doing these Monday things. So thank you for all your donations tonight, for all your questions. Make sure you hit Locked On Chiefs. We've got some great stuff out there right now, especially the interview with Jory Fortson from yesterday. Make sure you check out Sam. Hit us at Chiefs Digest because Matt's doing some great work over there. Please go back and check out. If you need insurance, hit Insurance Inc. and Auto Owners. They do a great job, and they're sponsoring us for these post-draft type videos. So thank you all very much. Thanks for hanging out. Looks like I missed something. Where'd it go, Aaron? I'm not sure. All right. Thank you guys all. And I'll talk to you next week. I'll probably have another video this week. Trying to figure out what I'm going to do with it. So have a good night, and I'll talk to you later.